This podcast will talk you through the ups and downs in the entertainment industry.
Each and every one of you has a talent, but it's a tough business. People gonna tell you, get a real job.
By introducing you to sustainable, moldable methods in a crazy, cutthroat world.
Let us harness our willpower and take real action.
Don't let it get you down.
Join me, brothers and sisters, on a journey through trials and tribulations.
Unfake it till you make it.
Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Unfake It Till You Make It podcast. I'm Tony Soriano, and today's guest is John Carlo. He's a working actor, scriptwriter, and producer in the film industry. He recently wrote his first feature film that was shot called First We Take Brooklyn, starring Harvey Keitel, and he's on his way to shoot his second feature in New York City this summer. We have a nice chat on the uniqueness of the film industry, as well as what it looks like when John Carlo is writing like a maniac. If you hear some creepy chewing here and there in this episode, sorry about that. John and I were snacking on some Trader Joe's organic cherries. And now, please enjoy the show with my guest, John Carlo. Thank you for coming, John Carlo.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah. Welcome to my lair.
Your lair, your oasis.
What are you working on? And why are you going? You said you're going to New York?
Yeah, I'm working on my second feature film that I wrote. I wrote it, I'm producing it, and I'm acting in it.
Nice.
And it's just surreal that it's like already happening. I'm like, I still don't believe it. I'm like superstitious. So until I'm on set and they say action, I'm like, it's not happening.
That's what my dad says.
It's not happening.
Actually.
Yeah?
He always says that.
Really?
Same thing. That's funny. It's like, I don't get excited until I'm on set and they're filming me.
Yeah, no, because so many things can change so quickly in this fucking business that it's hard to, get excited until you're actually there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I actually, in 2012, I got hired to be, it wasn't like a star of some indie film, but it was like kind of a supporting role or something.
Yeah.
And I was really excited. And I went to the part. There was like a party in at the, what was it called? The Viper in
Viper
Santa
Room?
Monica or
Yeah.
something. No, it wasn't. It was the V in Santa Monica. Something
Okay.
V.
Oh, Viceroy.
Possibly.
Hotel?
No, whatever. It doesn't matter.
whatever.
But anyway, we went there and there was like the producers were there, and I even like had it happen. I went to a wedding or something, and there were some cool spoons at the wedding. I brought the producer, a spoon because I knew she collected spoons somehow.
Okay.
I was just like trying to be on the
Right.
good side and
Yeah.
show my appreciation.
Yeah.
Seriously, my sister's friend also was going to get a role somehow, and we talked. We never heard anything from them. No apology letter. Nothing about like it's not happening. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. No one let me know, and
Yeah.
that was it.
Or even worse, like, I booked an episode of Transparent, the Amazon show, and I shot all these like amazing scenes. And then, like 6-7 months go by, they edit it, they air the season. I go to the episode, and I'm literally in for like 3 seconds. They cut everything. Everything. I'm like, no lines, nothing. Just like stacking chairs.
Damn.
I was like,
that
whoa.
much?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So even when you're on set, you don't fucking know.
That's why it is great to like be part of the overall filmmaking if you can.
Yeah,
It's really
and control
cool.
the material.
Yeah.
It's why I started writing in the first place,
I want to talk more about what you're filming in New York, but
Yeah.
first, you're from Oakland, California, right?
I was born there, but I moved when I was like a month old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But now you were overseas growing up a lot of your life.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how was it like?
Yeah.
What was the most valuable thing you learned that maybe you didn't learn in the U.S.?
It's just like, my mom is Israeli, my dad's from Argentina, and so I grew up in Israel, I grew up in Argentina, then Canada, and I think just like having a global perspective and speaking multiple languages kind of like teaches you that the world is a very diverse place. And, living in America, I think you forget that sometimes because we're like the epicenter of so many things that we forget that there's an entire world out there. So I think just, giving me like a global perspective and how like, there's a lot of different kind of people and different cultures in this world. And we're not the center of everything.
Yeah. You don't feel that until you really go
Yeah.
out, especially like me, I didn't leave the country until late. You know, I
Right.
didn't do it when I was a kid or even a young adult. I didn't do that. That's a amazing feeling too.
Where'd you go? What was like the first place that like?
I went to French Guiana.
Oh wow.
It was like the top of Brazil.
Yeah.
And that was for a shoot. I was directing a small rocket launch thing.
Cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was only for 3 days though. It was the first time I went out.
Yeah.
And it was so rushed, and I wanted to explore something, but we barely had any time to do that.
Right.
A couple, when we were scouting, we had a little bit of that.
But it opened your eyes.
Yeah. But my recent Asia trip, that was the best thing.
Nice.
I've talked a little bit about it on here, so I'm not going to bother the listeners. But
Go back and check previous episodes.
that's great.
Yeah.
And as a kid out of the country, when you weren't in the U.S.,
Right.
did you have aspirations for the entertainment industry?
Yeah,
Or-
like looking back, I think I did. Because I was born here, I was the only one in my family who was born in the U.S., so I'm the only American citizen. And so I just always had a feeling, I'm like, one day I'm just going to go to America and make it happen. And, not really in entertainment or the movie business or anything until much later in life. But looking back, I was definitely like drawn to like theater and movies and becoming characters and like I'd watch like all these movies and as a kid, and I'd be like, oh man, if I watch Ninja Turtles, then I'm gonna have to become a Ninja Turtle, and then I'm gonna and it was like I was like compulsive about like creating characters even as a kid. Looking back, I was like, wow, if only someone saw that and like kind of like
honed
nudged
you.
me in
Yeah.
that direction. But I discovered it whenever I did,
Yeah,
naturally.
differently, yeah.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles 1 was one of my favorite films.
Incredible.
It's
Incredible.
It's amazing. If you haven't seen it,
Mind-blowing.
you got to watch it.
Yeah.
It's impossible to not see that.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
2 was good. 3 was fun.
Right.
But it was like.
But 1 was
yeah,
just,
one was, I felt like it's real. I
It
mean,
was, yeah.
God,
I know. It was incredible. Don't make movies like that anymore.
yeah. I was a little bummed that I wasn't somehow involved in the newest one. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh,
No.
my childhood dream is gone.
Crushed.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
let me ask you. Let's go back in New York.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the film?
Absolutely. So, I'm still working around titles for some reason. It was The Sit Down. Now it's Appalachian, which is the town the story takes place in, Appalachian, New York. Small little town, upstate New York. But it's based on a true story. And it takes place in 1957, where all like the biggest mafia bosses in the world, like 50, 60 guys, the top bosses met in this tiny little town called Appalachian, New York, to discuss who's going to be like the boss of bosses. Vito Genovese at the time, just whacked a couple big guys and was trying to consolidate power. And so he called this meeting. And these guys never did anything like that. Like back then, the mafia was still very secretive. No one knew about it. The FBI didn't even acknowledge that there is a mafia. And they held this meeting, and this guy, this cop, small town cop, Ed Croswell, living in this town, started noticing all these weird things happening, all these cars, all these guys, and pretty much single-handedly, with maybe another like state trooper, busted this meeting. And indirectly changed law enforcement forever. Because up until then, J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI, they were so like obsessed with like getting the commies, the communists, and this and that they didn't even acknowledge that there is a mob. And because of this bust, they created this organized crime task force, which turned into like creating the RICO Act, which they used to bust all the big gangsters now. And it was like this pivotal moment. And this guy just like stumbled upon this meeting, and no one believed him. No one gave him a shot. They thought he was psycho, and he just persevered. And so I wanted to write a story about this guy, this cop, whose job was like to get cats out of trees and like, like speeding tickets.
Damn.
Changed law enforcement forever.
That's cool.
So that's the story.
I like the sit down title because I've been recently watching The Sopranos, and they're like,
Okay.
we gotta have a sit down.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
that's just because maybe
I know, but it's like
maybe it's
not
too
a,
straightforward.
Yeah, it's not a mafia movie per se. It's more about this cop.
Okay.
So I don't want to
agree.
mislead the audience.
I like that then.
And I'm coming off First We Take Brooklyn, which is like a gangster movie.
Okay.
So I'm trying not to. I don't know. But Appalachian is spelled Appalachian.
Oh.
but they pronounce it Appalachian. And so, you know, when you see, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just weird. I don't know. Still working. We'll see.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for you. That's
Thank you,
gonna
man.
be so fun.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Damn.
Yeah.
Now, what are you doing to prepare as an actor for it? And do you have a smaller supporting role, or are you actually getting a bigger role? What happened?
I wanted to really not pursue like a big acting role on this one because I really wanted to focus on the production side. I'm fascinated with filmmaking. You know, I'm loving like the writing craft, and so I feel like this is my opportunity to learn the fundamentals of filmmaking from the production side. You know, I've been an actor for like 15 years, a writer for like only 2, and never really been involved on the production side. And so I got a small little bit role that, you know, is going to be fun, but I'm not too concerned about that for this. I really want to like get my hands dirty and like learn how to make a movie. Like I'm getting paid to like learn how to make a film essentially.
Hell yeah.
So hell yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just talk about some mentors. Like who have really inspired you for the film business, but also personal, like, you know, even relationship mentors.
Good question. I feel like in the film business, fortunately or unfortunately, I've had to like stumble in the dark and just find my way through this crazy, you know, business because it's such a weird industry. You know, there's a lot of guys that I look up to, especially as writers, like Sam Sheridan. He's
really
the
familiar.
he's the guy that wrote Sicario. He wrote Hell or High Water. You know, he was an actor for like 15 years. Had like, you know, bit roles in TV, this and that, and was just sick and tired of like A, reading bad material, and B, not having control over his destiny. And that's for me what like made me write was, you know, as an actor, you basically have to wait around for an audition. You go to audition, wait around for a callback. Like you're at the whims of like so many other people. You have no control over your career. And I got to a point where I was like, I can't live like this. Like I can't like be constantly just waiting. I need to do something proactive. And that's kind of where writing came because it's tangible. I can write a script. You can hold it in your hand. You can read it. Like regardless of who I am, the material will speak for itself.
What about personally, like relationship? Do you have any mentors for like about relationships, like maybe 2 people that they've just had good relationships, whether they're friends or they're a couple?
I would say for me is the guy that like really gave me a chance and took me on was Danny A. So Danny A is the producer, director, and star of First We Take Brooklyn, and he's going to be the director, producer, and actor in this movie. And you know, he's just this like very inspiring, enigmatic person who, you know, came from nothing, built a insanely successful nightlife business, and then, you know, decided to transition into acting and filmmaking and everything. And he's a very inspirational guy because he like you know, he doesn't take no for an answer. Tenacious. And I was like, wow, very inspiring. I would say that's like my mentor, essentially.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We all need one.
Yeah, you need someone to take a chance and someone to like guide you through the process and the industry. And it's like, it's the hardest thing is to find someone to just like show you the ropes.
Yeah.
You know, because it's a very closed system. They don't want anyone new.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, inexperienced. And so like, it's like, how do you break in?
It's a paradox.
Yeah.
It's a
catch-22. It's like, you know, you can't work unless you've worked before.
Yeah.
But you can't get work because you've never worked before.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Indeed. If someone was totally new to LA, so anyone listening, what advice would you have for them if they want to be in the entertainment industry and maybe specifically as an actor? Like what should they not do when they get here? Maybe I don't know.
I think the most important thing not to do or to watch out for, there's an entire industry, a lucrative industry that is set up around taking advantage of new actors coming to town. acting classes and casting director workshops and all this shit where it's like, class is very important. You know what I mean? Studying your craft is very important. But there's some that are predatory and promise things that are, impossible to deliver on. And so, I would say definitely find a class that speaks to you, that gives you the opportunity to work on your craft. I think a lot of American actors forget that it's an art form. It's like playing the guitar. If I just handed you a violin and said, "Hey, buddy, play," you got to learn. And acting is the same thing. The only difference is your body and your emotions are the instrument. And people come to LA and they want to be famous. And fame isn't a real thing. Fame is a product of, success or, whatever. So I would say just, get in a good class. Get around people that inspire you is the biggest thing. LA can be the loneliest city in the world. It's a city of like 12 million people.
Yeah.
But it's spread out. It's not like New York where you can just bump into people. You're in your car, you're driving, and you have to find your neighborhood. You got to find your niche. You got to find your community actively, because it's not going to happen by itself.
Yeah.
So I would say,
what are some good ways, like specific ways that you would do or suggest? Like go to 3rd Street and blah and go.
Well, I think like the first thing is like like get into some kind of class where you're with like-minded individuals, but also you got to find your neighborhood, because LA is not a city. LA is a county. There's like 50 cities in LA. You got Santa Monica, Venice, West Hollywood. You have Los Feliz, Silver Lake. They're all individual cities. Each one has something different to offer. And so I think the important thing is to find your little nook, like your little, neighborhood. And then within that neighborhood, you'll meet people that are like-minded. But like, when I first moved here, I lived like on like Santa Monica and the 405, which was like West LA. Mm-hmm. And there was just like, there wasn't anyone around. It's like in between. Mm-hmm. It was so hard for me to like meet people. And then I moved to like West Hollywood, like 3rd and like Sweetser. And it was just like, you could walk around, you could bump into people. There's coffee shops. There's all these things where like it felt like a community.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing, finding your neighborhood.
And keeping your ears open when you're in there. And And even if you're shy, it's like you just hop in and see if they're cool. If they're cool, they're going to talk with you.
Exactly.
And then
if
you
not,
talk with
not.
Yeah, and there's so many people, like you said.
I know.
So if this group is just kind of fake or maybe not your style, then there's another group.
But yeah, all my closest friends to this day, I met through acting class. Because that was where, you find your tribe. You find your your people.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to start. Like I think it was like 2 years before I like got into a good class, and like that's when everything changed for me. Like in terms of like friendships and community and all that stuff was through class.
What classes did you take, or what teachers?
So I started off studying with Howard Fine, who was amazing, but I did not connect well to, he's like the protege of Uta Hagen, and that whole school of acting was very prop heavy, you know what I mean, which is cool, but I'd have to bring like a suitcase to class with all my shit, and it was frustrating because I'm like, you don't need this per se.
Okay.
It was incredible because it's a very like, and he's like a very in-depth teacher, and his books are amazing, but it wasn't for me. So then I went to Eric Morris, old school like acting studio guy, came up with like Jack Nicholson and Martin Landau, and he was the one that was like 2 chairs on a stage, and he was like, you're not an actor. That word is not real. You're an experiencer. Your job is to experience emotions for real. There's no imagination. With Uta Hagen, it was a lot of like imaginary circumstances, which I just couldn't connect with. Some people can, I couldn't. And so like, we would work on craft, instrument. Like we'd get on stage and he'd be like, all right, what's your objective for the scene? I'm like, to be angry. He's like, who in your life makes you angry? I'm like, my dad. He's like, all right, look into the audience and start speaking to your dad. Go, now, go. So you start talking to this imaginary person, but it was real to you because it's, my father. And then all of a sudden, like I would get, caught in the moment and emotional. And the second I felt a real emotion, be like, go, start the scene. Go, now, go. And you learn to bridge text and, you know, dialogue with your true emotions. And once you understand that, is where I was like, oh my God, that's what acting is. It's experiencing real emotions with someone else's words and bridging that.
That's a great way to put it. Damn.
I really
like that.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
Really, really opened my eyes and, you know, taught me like the craft.
That's something to resonate with for sure. Getting yourself, I mean, I know, you know, when you're doing any project or acting or directing, you should prep yourself first. And when you're ready, you go for it. But I like how you put that where, like, get yourself caught. And when there's this spark, hit it, go. So if you're ever acting or something, or you're feeling like, oh, I don't feel ready, you have to just figure out what really gets you that spark, and just maybe you have to wait. And then when you get it, you start.
And the more you do it, the easier it becomes.
Like the instrument, like you said. Yeah, do your skills every day.
Exactly.
You can glide.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for some reason.
Awesome.
Well, many reasons.
Yeah, hell yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so much to be done. I'm trying to finish up this script that I wrote in 2015 and 16, and then I left for a year out of the country, and then I'm back at it, like just editing it, and I've gone over it with a mentor of mine, and I need to like when I started the script, I was just in the zone, knocking things out, and every time after I came home, I would do it, go to sleep, do it like that, and then but with the editing now, I'm a little lagging. Any tips to get into the zone? I mean, because you're in the zone this last from we take Brooklyn, and then now like you're in the zone. What have you been noticing that gets your ass, like lights that fire?
Yeah, man, like writing is a very difficult thing to do because it's like there is no immediate gratification. You know what I mean? It's like word by word, page by page, slowly, like one page becomes 10, and then next thing you know, if you stick with it, you have a script, a screenplay. But that discipline, there's an amazing book I read called The War of Art. So it's a play on the art of war by Stephen Pressfield. I would recommend this book to absolutely any artist, not just writers, actors, musicians, even like business people, because what it kind of like shows you is like all humans, the more creative you are, you have this resistance to create. You have this like voice in your mind that's telling you like, you know, second guessing everything, and like this resistance will sabotage any creative endeavor that you try to undergo. And once you understand it, you kind of like can work through it, and that's the biggest thing. Like procrastination, writer's block, it's all just different manifestations of resistance. And we have this natural resistance for some reason. I don't know why. And so this book really helped me and allowed me to be like, you know, one of his things is like the muse shows up every morning at 9 a.m. when I fucking put my ass in the chair and start writing. It's a job, and you have to do it every day. And once you have that momentum, I think that's the trick. That's the secret, is to have a momentum, have inertia.
Yeah.
And so with writing especially, you just got to do it every day. And you could throw out everything you wrote that day. It doesn't matter. You're still writing.
Yeah. And then when it clicks, it clicks, but you're in those rounds.
And when you know, like for this script, you know, the first Retake Brooklyn took me like 8 months to write. This movie took me 3 weeks.
Okay. So you hustled the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Now, wait, was this movie something you brewed a lot and you had like notes everywhere for over like a year or two, or like just on and off, or were you like, you just had this inspiration and you're like, now I got to do it, or what happened?
It was, Danny A., my producer, he acquired the script. It was like 150 pages and it wasn't very good. I couldn't connect with it. It read like a documentary. There was no movie. There was no like arc. It was all about the mafia, all about the mob. And within that script, there was like 5 pages about this cop.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, this isn't the story. Because my job initially was to just rewrite, like edit the script.
I see.
And I read it a bunch of times. I'm like, there's no story here. So I went to all the people, and I was like, guys, listen, let's focus on the cop. Forget the mob. Forget the mafia. We've seen it a million times. Who's going to do a better job than Scorsese? Nobody. Like, why are we even trying? The movie is about this cop. It's Rocky. It's an underdog story. So I just rewrote the entire script. Now, I knew that I wanted to go on this little vacation for a month. And I knew that if I didn't finish the script within that time, then there'd be no movie. And so I literally didn't have the luxury of procrastination. It was do or die. If I don't finish the script, movie's not going to happen. And so I just sat down and I wrote 3 weeks, banged it out, and then went on a fucking amazing trip.
That's fucking
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So when you got in that 3-week zone,
Yeah.
did you literally like tell some of your friends and your family or people like, hey, I'm going to be off the market right now? And you just kind of avoided most calls. Like, how did you,
I just wrote insane hours, man. I wrote like 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, 15 hours a day. Like, I'd write like 5, 6 in the morning, go to bed, wake up like 2 or 3. Like, I had like
Knock out some.
just the craziest hours, and had to have a lot of discipline. Like,
So
hey, let's
fun.
go have a drink. Let's go have a... Sorry, dude, I'm writing. Can't do it.
That's what you
And
gotta
it's
do.
important. It's really important to like say no. Like, so many people, especially in this town, like have like FOMO.
Yeah.
You know, like the fear of missing out. There's always a party happening. There's always something happening.
Yeah.
And you know, my whole thing is I'll have plenty of time to party when I'm successful. And right now, I'm trying to become successful. So I will sacrifice all that stuff for, you know, to get shit done.
Your push, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, how does it look when you write? Like, what are you wearing? What do you have? What tea are you drinking?
Yeah.
Like, tell me. Like, really, let's reenact. What is this?
A lot of coffee.
Okay. What kind of coffee?
Black.
Just black.
Black.
Okay.
Black coffee.
That's a writer's drink.
Yeah. Wardrobe wise, I think just like, you know, sweatpants and a t-shirt or whatever, like super cash. But there's always
I was
music.
going to say a bunny suit, but
You know, that was for my first script.
yeah.
But you know, I accidentally put it in the dryer and it shrunk, so it doesn't fit me anymore. So I lost the bunny suit. But yeah, and then I always have music playing.
What kind of music is it?
Usually instrumental movie scores.
Hell yeah.
Classical music. I can't do lyrics. Like if there's lyrics, then it just kind of like messes with my head. But like depending on the scene I'm writing, you know what I mean? Like I approach
I love
writing
that.
as an actor, which I think it's why it's like really helped me, and kind of like, you know, from what I've heard, my scripts are very like compelling and like easy to read because I'm approaching it for like, what would be my dream role as an actor? You know what I mean? And so I'm like playing every character. Like my girlfriend,
just gonna say that, yeah.
she's like watching me and she's like, "You look like a crazy person," because I'm like, you know, talking and I'm like mouthing things and I'm like doing all this stuff and I'm like I'm reenacting every character in the script. And I'm sure if I filmed myself, it would be really creepy. But that's how I do it. I don't know any other way.
So as far as dialogue, do you do that where like you know who you're writing about and then
Yeah.
you know what's gonna happen in the scene, so maybe you'll say like you'll start just randomly talking how he would talk, maybe do you
Yeah.
dialogue it, and then if you get
Yeah.
a gem you go and write it.
It happens like simultaneously, like
Cool.
where I'm like I'm talking and I'm writing at the same time.
Okay.
Because I need to hear how it sounds and how it flows.
Yeah, I work similar. That's cool.
But what I love to do is like I'll cast the film in my mind before I write. So like I'll take a little like, you know, PDF document and I'll like put pictures of actors that I love that I would imagine as like the dream person to play this role.
That's a good one.
And then what it helps me do is create different voices, because like the downfall of every writer is that every character sounds the same. Mm-hmm. And so when I cast like someone like Christopher Walken, you know, has, you know, his own way of talking, or like someone else, it's like you can differentiate between different characters, and it's visual for me. So I always have that up, just the faces of these people.
That's cool.
So I can
I like
switch
it.
to them, and that really helps.
That you painted a picture of how you work. I like it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
You know, it's like I wish someone told me this shit like when I was starting out. So it's like I'd love to like, if someone hears this and is inspired, then amazing.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
try different things. Put up the pictures, and if that's not inspiring,
Right.
like listen to just listen to those actors, some interviews they have
Right.
or something, and
Yeah.
then turn it off. Go right. You know, you got to experiment and see what, and maybe write down your progress. Like make a progress report. Like today,
Yeah, have a journal.
You know, today I wrote 10 pages and it felt good.
Right.
Yesterday I wrote 2 pages. It felt like shit. What was I doing yesterday?
Yeah.
Why was I getting that result?
Yeah.
That could be a good way.
It's just there's no one way to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, there's all these great books, you know, all these like how-to books.
You just have to sit down and do the rounds.
Yeah, you just have to discover your method, your journey. And by doing that, you'll figure out what works and doesn't work for you.
So what kind of person do you have to be to be in this entertainment industry and to be able to actually finally sit down and do those rounds and have that little discipline to gain a lot of discipline.
It's such a dichotomy because, especially as an actor, your job is to be sensitive, emotionally available, and vulnerable, because that's the job of an actor. And yet the whole process of auditioning and rejection, and like you have to protect your instrument, protect yourself. You have to build up this wall, this callus. Like, you know, I've been on thousands of auditions and booked maybe 10, which is like a normal ratio.
Which is insane.
Yeah. And so like you have to develop this wall, this shield of like self-preservation, and yet you're expected to be emotionally available and vulnerable.
Even when you're getting hit and pushed and shoved,
and
but
so
you have to be ready.
It's the hardest thing, and it's like you have to learn to like put up the wall and take it down, which is so crazy. You know, like the world teaches you to be callous. The world teaches you to be tough. The world teaches you to like, you know, not give a shit. And the actor's job is to give a shit about everything.
Yeah.
And so that's tough, man. It's really tricky to find that balance between, you know, being disconnected from rejection, and yet when you read material, taking it extremely personally and letting it affect you.
Yeah, and having a strong opinion about this or that.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any friends or family members and have any relationship problems because you were so strongly opinionated? As an actor, you know, we're supposed to, we push to be opinionated, or we're supposed to harness it, right? But then...
I wouldn't say...
what do you think?
I've had a lot of issues with, you know, friends and relationships and family, not because I was opinionated, really, but because I really wanted to experience everything. And so sometimes I would do bad things.
You would say it in your head, like, this could be used.
Yeah, I could use this for something.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing because, like, you know, actors, I like, they're not normal people. Like, we're weirdos, man. Like, we sometimes are watching ourselves go through an experience being like, remember this. You can use this.
And you're like, and you can say, I can get out of this now, but let me just embrace it for that.
Let me go a little deeper.
Sake of the character.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, with relationships and, you know, infidelities, and it's like, I don't want to close myself off. I don't want to like go through life not experiencing all these things, and that can cause a lot of problems.
And other people get hurt. So you got to figure out how to balance that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the excuse was like, I'm an artist. What do you want?
Yeah.
Like, I got to experience everything, which is why I think it's hard to, you know, be in a happy relationship when you're in this business, especially. But there's a balance to everything, you know?
There probably is. There should be a book about how to balance your experiences for filmmaking or something. Yeah. Without like ruining that friend or ruining that girlfriend or boyfriend. Right. Because
it can get pretty tricky, man.
There's this quick anecdote. I was with a person I was falling in love with years back. And then we were just going through some tough times. She was going through some tough times. And this is a weird... I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's a weird thought. I remember I was consoling her for something. It was kind of major, and like I was hugging her, and we were kind of on the side street where like someone could like pick one of us off with a gun and no one would see. Yeah. And I remember like I was hugging her, and for some reason a rush went through me of like, if I was in this movie and I was like consoling her, but I knew she's gonna like get killed, so I like turned her back to this. I was thinking like, oh, let me turn this back to the guy that's gonna shoot her, and then like leave her. And I felt really weird. Yeah. And like psychotic. Yeah.
Most like, you know, civilians, normal people won't get that. They'll think like, yo, you're crazy, dude. But I don't. I've been like waiting on the like at the subway station, and the train comes by. I'm like, yo, I could push this person. Yeah, I could fucking kill this person right now.
That feeling sometimes.
And I would never do that, but the thought still crosses my mind. I think the difference between us and them is like we acknowledge that thought, we let it come, we digest it, and then we let it go. But it's like this constant thing of like,
or we know there's like a purpose, like this could be in a film, right? But the killers and the people that will push, they don't have that outlet or that thought. They'll they push.
Exactly. And there is a difference between, you know, make belief and real life. Yeah. You know, I've been in class sometimes, and like some people would lose it, like they lose, and like I was so in the moment that I lost control. I think that's bullshit. I think that's people.
That's who they are.
That's who they are, and it's people taking advantage of other people or people who have a lack of self-control. I don't think you can ever lose control. Like, you're performing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
maybe physically, like if you accidentally push someone too hard, maybe, but not the overall.
Yeah,
you're
but
right.
not like I got so lost in the character that I, headbutted this person.
Yeah.
Like sometimes accidents happen. Stage combat. You go to headbutt someone in a scene that's a combat scene, and they, that happens. That's not natural. But
Yeah.
you
The
never lose
emotional
control.
out of control.
You never lose control. If you do, then you might have some issues.
Yeah.
But the thought's there. That instinct, that like impulse. So I get it. It's weird, but I totally get it. Yeah,
it's so fun. Now this is the thing that some people can relate, I'm sure. But when you do have all these ideas and thoughts of that, sometimes if you have too many, it's like, what do you do with them? Like, how do you put this into? How do you make a short film about this? How do if there's too many brewing? So I just say write them down and put them on the backlog and
totally
get to the one that seems the most priority. Or you got to reprioritize. You got to prioritize.
But also like have a folder, have like a box, whatever, on your desktop, your computer, with ideas. Like that's what I do every time I have an idea. Bang! I'll just put it in this folder.
Never know.
And you never know. And I've come back to things like, oh my god, that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
I can never
cool.
When did I? And it's like it's cool. Because I think creativity is it's abundant. It never ends. It's not finite. There's like an infinite amount of ideas, and so you can have an idea and put it away for like another time. Like who cares? Like you never know, but there's no like end to like the creative well.
That leads me to the question I was going to ask about what creativity means to you. You kind of mentioned it. Can you go deeper into that, and also like how do you stay creative? When you feel I just don't feel creative. Have you been conscious about it over the years now? And you're like, wait a minute, if I don't feel creative now, I know what makes me creative. This.
Right.
Anything?
I think it's important to like feed your creative soul, like feed that creative baby. Like go to a museum, like listen to live music, go be at one with nature. Like there's all these things that will inspire the human. And I think a lot of people forget that like you got to feed that creative spirit.
That's a source, and maybe they're not thinking of it as a source, and they're just doing it to like kill
fuel,
time.
And we need that. We need to like, nature's a huge one for me. Going on a hike, going on a run. Like I've had so many ideas just pop into my head when I'm in nature, because for some reason I think we relax. Like we're, the human species.
We're at our natural state, really.
We're not designed to live in cities.
Yeah.
We haven't evolved, that's like 500 years.
Yeah, the office seat has been not that long.
Exactly. Like, that's been like, civilization's only like 1,000 years old, but humanity's been around for 100,000 years. Like, it's a blink. So reconnecting with nature helps me, listening to live music, going to like art galleries and like smoking a joint and just walking around high as fuck and looking at paintings like that. It's just kind of like, things pop into my head.
And I think it's important to realize that those can be sources, because I think when people, or when I don't realize certain things and I just do it, I don't get as much out of it.
Right.
And then if I realize it more often, like practice it, then you don't have to be so conscious. You're like, you're unconsciously conscious or something like that.
Yeah. And there's a thing that I think happens, like when you get that like chill or like that, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Like we used to have, I think, a very powerful intuition as human beings. Like I'm not saying like extrasensory perception, but I think at some point we were very hyper aware of the environment and nature and other people, and through modern civilization that's kind of been like numbed. And so for me, like when I get that chill, I'm like, I know that's a good idea, like that's something special. And the more I do it, the more I'm conscious of it and I'm aware of it, and I listen to those like feelings, those impulses that most people I think just ignore. And it's important, especially as any artist, to like keep that gateway open, like be in touch with that impulse.
It seems like when you have that buzz, that hair standing up in your neck, I think people might tend to shy away, maybe early on in life, or some people continue to, because it's so powerful, and they know. I think everyone realizes it, but maybe we don't know what to do with it at that time. There's no outlet, so maybe we just ignore it and pretend it didn't happen.
Right.
Like, I mean, especially when people, you know, to show their heart to other people, like that, they close it off sometimes because they see how important it is, but they're like, what's going to happen? How do I manage this? What do I do with this?
Right. Absolutely.
It's another practice, and practice being open, and protecting also.
Yeah, which is a huge element of being an artist is like nurturing that, you know, that awareness.
Okay, when you said you went on, you know, so many auditions and you're trying to just push, like, why aren't things happening? Okay, good, I booked one, and you're grateful, but then you're all in so many more, and you're getting overwhelmed. What did you do during that time that really helped you with the overwhelming feelings? Like, what did you do?
I think it's important to find a hobby, like do something else. If all you're doing is going to auditions, coming home and waiting and thinking and like you know, just obsessing over the outcome, you'll drive yourself mad. And so for me, like, I have so many hobbies. Like I build furniture.
That's right.
I ride motorcycles.
Nice.
I do all these other things that occupy that mind, so that you can detach yourself from the outcome. And now, like, because I've been in it for so long, like, I'll go on audition, and the second I walk out, I forget about it. It's gone.
You have something else to do. You have another plan.
It's gone. It doesn't exist, because I walked in, I did my job, and I'm out. And like, it took a long time. Like, I would like get back in the car and like be still doing the audition in the car on the way home.
Thinking if you did it differently, maybe that would have been better.
Like, dude, what's the point? It's done. There's nothing I can do. And so I think the key to like maintaining your sanity is to have other interests, and just like cut that cord of like the outcome is done. There's nothing you can do. Either you did a good job or you didn't, and even if you did, it still doesn't matter. Because there's so many variables.
You look different than I imagined, so you're not getting the part.
Like, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too fat, you're too this. There's so many variables that you have no control over, that you will drive yourself insane if you obsess. You just can't do it.
So how do you keep a good attitude with it all?
Man, I don't know.
And did you have a bad attitude for some of the time?
I think everyone does. Absolutely. I just think it comes with experience. It comes with, like I said, developing like this thick skin, this like callus that like you don't take anything personally, which is super important. But it's, you know, a work in progress, because like, you know, just still, I'll still like go on audition and then like not get the role and be really bummed. It's like the only industry in the world where like there's no what's the word I'm looking for? Like, there's no...
You can't just go to school and get out and then you'll find a job or something
but also like you go in, you'll audition, and no one will call you and say you didn't get it. You just won't hear from anyone. And only if you get it do you hear something. So there's no like conclusion. There's no, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the hardest thing to get used to, is just not knowing. Because if you get it, you'll hear something. But if you don't, you'll never hear from that person. Ever. There's no like, sorry, dude, you didn't get the role. I wish they did that. I wish they called you.
And they're like, you know, we were thinking if you maybe work on that you get better.
And how are you supposed to learn if no one gives you feedback? Like, auditioning is so different from acting.
So different.
Auditioning is a skill. It's an animal on its own that is different. And you have to learn to be an actor, and you have to learn how to audition. Because you don't get feedback. Like, you go into a room, you audition, they say, oh, thanks, man, that was great. And you leave. And that, like, they say that to everyone.
Yeah.
They're never going to be like, that was terrible. It's like, you didn't get the role, get out. I wish they did that.
I would do that.
I know.
I would say, I mean, I would be nice about it.
You'd be the best casting director ever. Fuck.
That'd be fun.
I just wish that you had feedback, which you don't. So it's like, how do you learn? How do you improve? It's such a weird... Auditioning in general is like so unnatural.
It's like, show me, like, show
dance,
me you're the
monkey,
best
dance.
for this.
Yeah. And you're in a room with someone reading a piece of paper, and
No
you're
rapport,
like acting
usually.
you're acting your heart out, and they're like, please do not kill me now? And you're like, how are you supposed to like have a connection?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's a different animal.
Any funny, terrible acting audition stories that come to mind?
There's always the one where like, you know, everyone in the room is just looking at their phone, like not even paying attention to you. They're like, oh, yeah, that's next. You know, that's happened so many times.
If they were doing that, I'd be like, hey! I would just scream it out, not at them, but like someone to wake them up.
I should have done that. Like looking back, I was like, why didn't I? Like, what do I have to lose? Like, they're not paying attention anyway.
Yeah.
Make an impression.
How about some of your other resources that you've really been drawn to over these last maybe couple years, whether it's a book, podcast, or some kind of resource that you could recommend for people listening?
For acting, I would listen. Like, you know, there's so many amazing podcasts right now. Like, what's the one on NPR or KCRW with Elvis Mitchell? It's called
Stand by. We're gonna look it
yeah,
up.
looking it up. It's really, he interviews writers, actors, directors, all these people, and really good interviewer. Like really, really good. They get to like really deep theme, the treatment, and then there's one for writing called the Q&A with Jeff Goldsmith.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
Amazing for writers. Amazing.
That's very cool. Yeah, I'm gonna check out with that one.
Like so cool, and I like man, there's so many.
What about is there any websites you go to that really, I don't know, that help you? Let's say you're starting a project or something and you just need some resources or to get going. Anything that comes to mind?
Not really websites, more books for me.
Okay.
The Hero's Journey is a big one.
And that's for what kind of?
That's for
material?
writing.
Oh, okay.
But it's also it's basically like the mythic structure. Like when you look at like, you know, the oldest art form for humanity is storytelling. And you look at like Greek myths, you look at like Egyptian mythology, you look at like, you know, the oldest form of storytelling. They all followed a very specific arc. And so the hero's journey is basically they break down that mythic structure. And all stories, every book, every movie, every play follows the same structure. And the reason why, you know, you could like watch a 90-minute film and walk out and tell me exactly what happened, whereas if you listen to a 90-minute lecture, you'd probably retain 10% of it. It's because it follows a structure that we're hardwired to understand. And so the hero's journey is a huge one for me. And then like, I don't know, I think like for me, I'm like a very analytical person. Like I break things down into like categories and mind maps, and like I have like my outline before I start writing, which is like my roadmap.
How does that look?
It starts off like, I would say like a mind map. Like you have your theme, your thesis, and then it breaks into like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Then each act breaks down into like 10 scenes, and each of those break down to like 20. And so I have this weird looking map, and then I put it in bullet point form.
Is this on the computer you'll write this? Okay.
Yeah, on the computer.
So not like you don't hand draw your outlines usually?
No, the mind map is hand drawn.
Okay, on a whiteboard or on like a piece of paper?
I wish I had one. I just use a piece of
whiteboard
paper.
has changed my life.
I need one, man.
I had one the size of
really
like a huge 8 feet by 4 feet.
Wow. And
I can't fit it in my room over here right now, so I have to figure a spot for it.
Yeah, I should get a whiteboard. I just do it on paper, which is annoying. And then I just do a standard like bullet point outline. And that becomes my roadmap, and I'll deviate from that all the time. Like I won't stick to that, you know. But there's freedom through structure, so I need that roadmap so I know that I can deviate from it and come back to where I need to be. And that's kind of like my method.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the book? It was a great read. How to Make a Good Script Great.
No.
Yeah, that
Do you recommend
changed
it?
changed my writings. Just it was amazing.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes here also.
Oh, cool.
And on the website and wherever else it shows the notes.
The notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great, and I was working with someone on just developing a script, and I asked them, "Hey, could you read it?" Because I read it, and then we could kind of be on that same page.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Pun intended.
Yeah. And what do you want written on your gravestone?
I would like on my gravestone to say, John gave it a shot.
That's a good one.
He just gave it a shot.
That might have been the fastest, best one I've heard.
Get out.
Seriously.
Really?
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I like that.
Thanks.
Because that's all you need to do to be successful, really. Just give it your best.
If you don't try, you will never succeed. And failure is part of success.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, where can listeners reach out to you and see you or hear about your last movie, all this stuff?
I'm on Instagram. I am John Carlo. Facebook, John Carlo. Twitter, John Carlo. JONCARLO. Hit me up, man. Let me know what's going on.
And where can they see your movie, your latest?
So First We Take Brooklyn is out on all digital platforms, Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, all that stuff. We begin filming the next film this summer. So the summer of 2019, holy shit, is when the movie will probably be out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you, man.
I have a couple last questions.
Hit me.
What's one word, literally one word that you would say you're working on that benefits you, but also maybe those around you?
One word.
Yeah, and it could be that maybe this last year, if you, and maybe you haven't thought about it until now, but what do you think?
It's for me. It's discipline. That's it, man.
That's great.
Discipline.
Yeah.
It's the only thing separating great people from mediocre people is discipline.
Amazing. And the last question, what would you say people could do right now, today, maybe one step that can help them with the progress of the ongoing path in the entertainment industry?
I tell this to every single person I meet, is to create your own content. Whether it's a web series, a short film, you have to create. In this day and age, there's no reason not to. Cameras are cheap, editing software is free,
and YouTube tutorials
yeah,
everywhere.
Like, you could learn anything, and if you're not creating your own content, you're literally just like taking a back seat. You're not being proactive, and that's make or break in this industry. Is you have to be creating your own content all the time.
Yeah,
you have to. There's no reason not to, and it's the only way to kind of separate yourself from the million other people trying to do exactly what you're trying to do.
I love that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Hell yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and
Thanks
taking the time.
Thanks for having me. This was such a great chat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's inspiring, and I'm really looking forward to you going to New York and shooting that film.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
I appreciate it.
I will stay updated, I'm sure.
Yeah, man.
Just a reminder, guys, like every episode, most things we mention by name will be in the show notes section on our website, unfakeittillyoumakeit.com, and they should also be in the iTunes or other podcast notes section as well, with easy links to find them. If you like the show, please show your support and leave a review, make my day, and let me know what you like best. And if you got this far, why don't you take it one step further? Consider becoming a subscriber. It's free, and all the cool kids are doing it every Sunday. I have a free newsletter I send out to subscribers, which has the cutest little name, Smorgasbord Sunday. It's a weekly menu which includes the latest episode, along with cool stuff I hunt and gather during the week to optimize professional and personal growth in the entertainment industry and this so-called life. Wonderful things, but not limited to. Unique tools, industry hacks, inspirational excerpts, video gems, powerful quotes, and other magical doohickeys I uncover. If you'd like to sign up, just go to unfakeittillyoumakeit.com, click the podcast option where you can then enter your email address and sign up.
Thank you for listening to the Unfake It Till You Make It podcast. For detailed sources and show notes for this episode, visit www.unfakeittillyoumakeit.com. Until next time, get up, get going, and get creative.